All right, good morning everyone. It's Nick here from 45 Degrees Sailing. Welcome back to the channel. Last night we had a ripper of a storm come through. So this storm front has had already at like 6 or 7 o'clock yesterday, had ripped through Slovenia, had flattened buildings, ripped roofs off of trees. I'd heard a couple of people had died. So we knew we were in for something, though further south where we are here, at the moment we are on Zladen, which is just out from Šibenik. We weren't expecting necessarily the full brunt of the thunderstorms and everything to come over, but we're certainly expecting and being ready for whatever came through. So what I noticed was that a lot of boats did not prepare for this. Boats on the dock. Yeah. Maybe they didn't know it was coming, or they didn't think it would be as bad, or they didn't know how to prepare. Whatever it was, I'm going to go over what I did to prepare, because we had southeast 30 knots coming from, this is the southeast over here, so we Yugo, 30 knots coming from here, which is what we docked in about 25 knots and got it all set up. We had that for the first 4 or 5 hours, then it dropped off completely, and then it came from the northwest as the storm front hit from this direction here, which is a little bit exposed. When I say a little bit, like Zladen is quite exposed to the northwest, so I was very, very ready for some wind and waves if the storm front came through. Even though it's a short fetch up here from Vodice, it's a long enough fetch to create some waves. So let's go over what I did to set myself up for this storm. So first of all, we're expecting wind from the beam, okay, to be coming across on here. So we're going to get a lot of push. We've got 2 bow lines on, the lazy lines, mooring lines out the front of the yacht, and your normal 2 stern lines holding us back to the back here. When the wind was coming from the starboard side, the first thing I did was set up a windward midships spring, and you can see it's slack now because at the time we had that 30 knots on the beam. This is going bowlined onto the ring here, further out. Now, I've got to be honest, by design, I chose this dock because I definitely wanted to be, I didn't want boats right next to me. And I wanted to sort of take that, and it's a Friday night here in Zladen, so most charter boats are going in. There's still a lot of boats on the dock, but we all had space between us pretty much, at least one berth between us, which is really important when you're going to weather a storm like this on the dock on the lazy lines. So set this one up here, and this is going to hold the midships from drifting harder there, but what it really does is act as a bit of a shock absorber, so not everything comes onto your stern line pushing on this angle. You're going to get a lot of force coming across from the starboard side, so I want that there to be able to hold me back and upwind. So that was the first one I set up. Then at the time we had a boat a little bit closer on port, so I wanted to pull our stern to windward so that we weren't close to them if I got any more things. So I set up also this line here up to this ring. Ideally I put it to a different wing. We were putting so much force on these that I've seen them pop out before, so that was okay though. So that one would be set up to there, and I'd use that to pull myself up to windward so that it was also taking a bit of the pressure off the sides there. From there, that was the starboard side setup. Now, what happened when the wind came out was a couple of people started putting those on. Okay, yeah, we saw that, we'll put that on too. I made sure I had 2 bow lines, and look at the distance we are from the dock. This is really important. So we've got a big swim platform and we're bridging quite a lot there. I want to know, absolutely 100% know, that I'm not going to hit the dock when all the forces come on and get stretched back. So that's why I do a good distance from the dock and really pull back in reverse when I set these first lines. So that's really important. You need to know that you're a good distance from the dock, even if you've got a longer plank for that. Now, you imagine once I lift the swim platform up during the storm, I've got heaps of room to the dock. So that's really, really important. I was still okay. The swim platform down was not going to hit during the storm, but there was a lot of waves, a lot of movement, and who knows, something might break. A bow line might break, a spring line might break, a stern line might break. This is why you have extras and you have redundancies. So that is the absolute key thing that a lot of boats here did not do in preparation for that storm. So then knowing once that wind calmed down and I'm like, okay, that went down to nothing. It was a condition kind of like this. Got a little bit, 10, 12 knots from the windward side, and I'm like, okay, watching the clouds, the lightning and everything was raging up here to the northwest, and I was like, you know what, I think we're going to get it from the northwest when that front hits. So I came out here and I put this spring on and I pulled us further to windward. This is double back so I could manage it all the time from the windward side, from the yacht, and I put that to my midship spring. This is really important because that was then that shock absorber. Now, if I had had the time and the lines, in retrospect, I would have even put another line from this cleat, possibly up to here as well, because it really acts as this shock absorber so that when the boat lists and moves on the waves, it's going to take a whole lot of pressure on that stern cleat and the bow cleats, and it shocks and it draws in. So having these here means it's going to hit this one, then that one, or that one, then this one. You still get a few of these jerks, but you get way less really attacking the boat. So you can see from this video when the storm hit, we're sitting really quite good. We're sitting very even with the dock. We're nice at 90 degrees and we're not getting too close. We're not even rocking as much as the other boats. Whereas look at this other yacht on the other side just getting absolutely pummeled. Also, they didn't have enough pressure on their bow lines, and they were just on a big angle, and I actually went over and helped them because when it first hit, because their swim platform was down and it was this close to the dock and it was getting closer and closer, and a fender in there. Skipper wasn't on the boat, I'm not sure why, but I'd helped those two get the swim platform up and says, look, you've just got to keep that fender on that corner. But they definitely touched or hit a few times when it got really, really bad. So you just want to be very, very aware of that. The only other thing I would have done, on the bigger boat, when I'm on Mila Felice or something, I've got two midships cleats, I would have then, if there was no one here and there was a spare mooring line, I would have taken this lazy line here, this mooring line, and I would have taken it from out there and put it to my forward midships cleat. This is going to give me even more protection and hold and spread the load over all of the cleats. The issue a lot of the time is how much load is on these cleats, on each one of them. And if you think everything is coming onto this stern cleat here, you'll see how hard they hit. It's designed for it, and it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. So that is my setup for here at the dock at Zladen, and we went through it absolutely fine. So other precautions I took when we were doing that. So the plank came off, the swim platform came up, and I took my hose away. I did leave my power cord on because we did want to charge. It's going to be okay. I left my instruments on all night because I wanted to make sure that I could monitor things and just check how it was, mainly for YouTube. But then everything else was down. So we had all of this stuff was all down. The cushions stayed. I was kind of testing how well they stayed, and they've been very well made, so well done there. The dinghy was up and tied down, lashed down strong. A couple of boats had their dinghies off and on the side, even an engine on one of them, flopping around everywhere. It was not good. Okay, I made sure that I was locked in really tight on my furler, and if I had had a full batten mainsail, it would have been zipped up, wrapped up, and I would have put an extra rope around it just to make sure that there was no chance of that getting more windage than necessary. The forward cushions I took off the bow, they were already off, so I didn't need to put them back on. These ones, I just put an extra rope over. They're pretty good, but I just didn't want any problems. I don't want any problems. And you'll see here also, I did when I came in from sailing on the way in here, I made sure I did a really even and tight furl with wind in it or with weight on the sheet, really tight furl on my furler. And then I actually ran out of furling line here, so I took my sheets off, and then I brought the whole lot of sheets up here and wrapped them around another 3 times, because that's what I wanted. I wanted good wraps around here, so there was no loose parts of the sail, nothing the wind could get into if it really hit 50s and 60s, because that unfurling shreds your sail and causes massive problem. Bring your mast down if you get that wrong. Clear deck, everything else is away. That is how we prepared for the storm last night, and we were very well prepared. So everything went fine. The wind was so strong it whipped all these fenders up and put them onto the boat. Dropped them down again this morning. but it really rained. In this case, because I wasn't expecting 60 plus, I left the Bimini up, I left the Dodger up so that I could, you know, sit under there and monitor everything. But if I was really expecting high winds, 60s plus, then I would have taken, I'd actually would have taken all of this off. And I wouldn't be here if I was expecting 70 knots. No way, no way. I would have been in a marina. I would have been in the most sheltered place I could go. Yeah, so look, I hope that was helpful. If you have questions on this, please let me know. I'd love to answer them, or I'd love to help out. And hopefully that footage I've dispersed throughout the video will help out to show what can go on and to show what you can go through. I'm not encouraging you to be out here. Watch the forecasts. Ask the locals. If you're chartering, talk to the charter company. Hey, where would you recommend we go? What, you know, all of this sort of stuff. So here's a bit of ragey footage for you. Hope you liked the video. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button to see more stuff like this. And comments and likes help boost our channel. So we hit 1.5 million views a couple of days or weeks ago, which was amazing. So thank you for everyone for that. And hit 15,000 subscribers last month. So, or this month, whatever it was. So let's hit 20. A couple of people asked how did Nootka fare in the storm. She killed it. See you in the next video.